Do kids need to read classic books to pass the 11 plus? I think that depends on the school actually and on the tests. So ostensibly, yes, it would be great for kids to be exposed to classic texts. But my son would rather have stuck pins in his eyes than read anything that was remotely classic. And he'd have got nothing out of it. It would have been torturous. So if you've got a kid like that, then what you could do is read something to them. So I read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. In fact, I read the whole of the Chronicles of Narnia, I think that's the title, to my son. And I made it as fun as I could because I knew he'd never read it himself. My daughter was a completely different kettle of fish. Now, when I say some schools, anecdotally, I've heard that the tests, the English component of all the tests is getting harder and that some classic texts are creeping in. So exposure to classic texts would help. Do I think you should ram 20 titles down their throat? Absolutely not. Both my kids passed for super selective grammar schools near here in Reading. We did the CEM test back in the day, so it was very vocabulary heavy. It's not as vocabulary heavy these days. However, if you're aiming for an independent school, and particularly a top independent school, then yes, I would say they definitely need more exposure to classics. If you're doing one of the other maybe GL tests, I'd still recommend exposing them in some way, but maybe they don't need it so much. But don't forget, nobody knows what is going to come up. We only know what has been. So mine didn't really focus on classics too much. My daughter did read the Chronicles of Narnia. She might have read something else, but she did read at a very high level. So she'd read the whole of the Harry Potter series of her own volition at the end of year 3. She just got it from the library and read the lot. She was a reader. My son didn't read. That's what made me write my 11 plus vocabulary reading books. I have a 7-book series which can be split into 2, and they are written just for the 11 plus. They have a contextualized dictionary on every page, and also we flag and explain literary devices as they appear in the story, spag explanations, and even inferential style comprehension questions as they appear in the story. Link in bio if you want to take a look. But yeah, go easy on the classics unless you're going for a top flight school, but I would still expose your children to them. However, what I would do is some classic comprehensions, and you can get some great workbooks such as First Past the Post. There might be others, but we use First Past the Post. That might help you with classic comprehensions. Any questions, please ask.